Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's happening? What's cracking? What's popping? What it do? What's good? All of that. The standard greetings. It's Tuesday. It is April 28th, and it is 2:42 in the a.m. Off to a little bit of a late start. 12 minutes to be exact. I like to start recording at about 2:30. So on the 21st, I posted a video of a group of white women dancing to Boots on the Ground. And the comments did not disappoint me. The comments were high comedy. And I shared yesterday that the general consensus was, excuse me, we can't have anything. And by we, I mean African American folks. You know, there's always this level of intrusion. Even with personal business, there's always this level of intrusion. And come up with the term Karen. What happens to be my legal name, y'all? I have always hated my legal name. I need to say that. So I opted to go by my initials, hence your girl KB. And everybody at work refers to me as KB. Now, every so often they slip up and call me by my legal name. And the majority of my family still refers to me by my legal name. And, yeah, it bothers me. But I digress. Anywho, so yesterday I came in and I disabled the comments on that video because people were missing the point. Now, like I said, comments did not disappoint me. They were high comedy. But I referred to it as a Texas misstep. And yeah, folks were all offbeat and they were a little too hard in the paint on it. It looked painful. And everybody was going every which the damn way, which threw the line dance off altogether. They couldn't wait to get to the fan part. But I want to talk about a couple of the comments that didn't sit well with me. I had one person chastise me as being racist. And no, I was highlighting the hypocrisy. You know, everybody wants the rhythm, but nobody wants the blues. There's this constant historical context of appropriation, and Black people don't get credit. I provided education on that fact in talking about a couple of artists who were just overlooked for the sake of the king of rock and roll. And both people I mentioned were ripped off. Go back to yesterday's videos. I also provided education for the folks who got in their feels by listing several books, because I received several statements. Why does it always have to be about race? And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that today. It has to be about race because the race, and when I say the race, I'm talking about African Americans, are so vilified in our culture. in our society. Now, when I say our culture, I'm not talking about African Americans in this instance. I'm talking about globally. Even immigrants come into this country with the N word on their lips. And they're taught to judge all by one. But don't want the same thing for their representation. No other group of people have had their culture denied them, have been told that they're less than. And this is in legal statutes. There are laws that said that African Americans were 3/5 human. And that was in order to gain votes. People need to understand that capitalism, the system which we thrive on and strive for, is intrinsically linked to racism. Slaves, yes, I'm going back to slavery, were considered property. And the more slaves you owned, the more wealthy you were. So there were breeding grounds, like kennels, like dog breeders for slaves. There were matches created for the sole purpose of breeding a strong product. But see, you don't learn that in this lie we call American history. We lie about everything that happened from the point of Plymouth Rock. There's this romantic notion that John Smith and Pocahontas were a loving couple, when in reality, Pocahontas was a 13-year-old. John Smith had a wife and kids on the other shores. You don't know about that. That's not taught. That's not told. Then yesterday I posted a bunch of videos about white proximity, or what I like to call white adjacent. And this is based on the cop in Texas, the Latina cop in Texas that spewed and leaned into the N-word with glee. Yeah, that part. And everybody was cheering. Oh, she lost her job. That hasn't been made official. She was relieved of police duties, yes. But they're still questioning whether she should lose her job. Had that been a black person, hanging's too good for them. Then we have the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where an incident happened. It was highlighted on the news yesterday that this person, who is biracial, or appears to be, was charged with attempting to assassinate the president. That was the language used. That same language was not used when speaking of the first shooter, who was not a person of color. There's subtleties to this, but it's brainwashing nonetheless.